The heart is one of the organs of the cardiovascular system. It is responsible for pumping blood throughout the body. It's located in the mediastinum. This is a mass of tissue in the center of the thoracic cavity. The tip of the heart lies on the diaphragm, the muscle that separates the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity. And the heart is not centrally located. 2/3 of it lies to the left of midline. This is the diaphragm, and here is the heart with one side resting on the diaphragm. As you can see, more than half of the heart lies on the left side of the body. In this transverse section, you can see how the heart is positioned between the sternum and the vertebra. When someone pushes on the chest like they do in cardiac compressions, this will compress the heart, forcing blood out of it, and then when the compression ceases, the heart will open back up and blood can flow back in. This is how we can artificially maintain circulation when someone's heart has stopped. The heart is composed of striated muscles like skeletal muscle. This is because the myofibrils are arranged in the same overlapping manner. Heart muscles are not long, they are short, branching muscles, and they're held together by special cell junctures known as intercalated discs. That's what these darker striations are. The heart is surrounded by a fibrous sac known as the pericardium. This is a loose-fitting sac and makes up one of the closed cavities of the body. Closed cavities, remember, are lined with serous membranes, so there is a serous pericardium. Serous membranes not only line the cavity, but they also cover the organ in the cavity. So there is a visceral layer that covers the heart and a parietal layer that lines the sac. In between, in the space, is where the pericardial fluid is secreted. This acts as a lubricant so the heart can move freely in this sac. The epicardium is the outer layer of the heart. It's actually the same thing as the visceral pericardium. Then we have the myocardium. This is the muscle layer. This will vary in thickness in different parts of the heart. Then lining the heart is the endocardium. This is a single layer of simple squamous cells that is very smooth. It reduces friction as blood flows through the heart. Imagine that you have a deflated ball and you stick your fist in it. The outer layer would be like the parietal pericardium, and the inner layer surrounding your fist would be like the visceral pericardium. Here you see it on the heart. The loose-fitting sac that is known as the pericardium is lined with the parietal pericardium. This folds back to cover the heart and makes up the visceral pericardium. The space in between is where the pericardial fluid will be. The fibrous pericardium is attached to blood vessels. It's the loose-fitting sac. Then lining the pericardium is the parietal pericardium, which folds back to cover the heart, making up the visceral pericardium. The visceral pericardium and the epicardium are the same thing. The muscle layer is the myocardium. Then the endocardium is a single squamous epithelial layer that simply reduces the friction of the blood flowing in the heart. This would be one of the chambers of the heart, one of the interior hollow spaces. Viewing the heart from the front, we can see the 4 chambers. The right atrium and the left atrium are the 2 upper chambers. The right ventricle and the left ventricle are the 2 lower chambers. There are basically 4 blood vessels that enter the heart. The superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava merge at the back of the right atrium. The pulmonary trunk leaves the right ventricle. This will branch into the right and left pulmonary arteries, so the pulmonary trunk is an artery. Blood will be taken to the lungs and then will return from the lungs in 4 pulmonary veins that merge in the back of the left atrium. The ventricle will empty blood into the aorta, which is one of the arteries of the heart. As we look at the back of the heart, or a posterior view of the heart, you can see the aorta. Here are the 2 vena cava coming into the right atrium, the 2 pulmonary arteries that branch from the pulmonary trunk, and the 4 pulmonary veins that return blood from the lungs to the left atrium. Just like every other organ of the body, the heart needs its own blood supply. So there are 2 major arteries that come directly off of the aorta to supply blood to the heart. The right coronary artery will branch into blood vessels that will feed the right side of the heart and the back of the heart. The left coronary artery will branch to feed the left side of the heart and the front of the heart. These arteries will break into capillary beds to nourish every cell in the heart. The capillary beds will drain back into veins. All of the veins merge to the great cardiac vein, and all of the cardiac veins empty into the coronary sinus. The coronary sinus empties blood directly back into the right atrium. In this frontal section of the heart, we get a chance to see the chambers better. The right atrium is the upper chamber. The left atrium is the upper chamber on the left side of the heart. The right ventricle and the left ventricle. There is a thick muscular wall known as the interventricular septum that separates the two ventricles. To prevent backflow in the heart, we have 4 valves. The right AV valve, or the tricuspid valve, is between the right atrium and the right ventricle, hence the term AV valve, atrioventricular valve. On the left side, we have the left atrioventricular valve between the left atrium and the left ventricle. This is also known as the bicuspid or the mitral valve. The pulmonary semilunar valve separates the right ventricle from the pulmonary trunk, and the aortic semilunar valve separates the left ventricle from the aorta. The fossa ovalis is a slight depression seen in the walls between the right and left atria. In the fetal heart, there was a hole between the right and left atrium, and this is where that hole has sealed up. Attached to each of the AV valves are the chordae tendineae. These help control how far the AV valves close. The chordae tendineae are attached to papillary muscles. They can exert pull. This will allow the AV valves to close completely, but not leak blood back into the atria. The heart is responsible for circulating the blood throughout the body. Basically, it's a double pump. We have a right pump and a left pump. On the right side, the right pump sends blood to the lungs, and blood comes back to the left pump. This is known as the pulmonary circuit. The purpose of this circuit is to dump carbon dioxide in the lungs and pick up oxygen in the blood. The left side of the heart will pump to the body. This is known as the systemic circuit. So the aorta will branch into numerous arteries to feed all of the cells of the body. Those veins will drain back into the vena cava to bring the blood back to the right side of the heart. So the right side pumps to the lungs, the left side pumps to the body. Let's take a closer look at how blood flows through the heart. We will start with blood returning to the right side of the heart in the inferior and superior vena cava. This would be the systemic circulation returning back to the heart. The blood will flow into the right atrium and through the tricuspid valve into the right ventricle. When the right ventricle contracts, it will force the pulmonary semilunar valve open so that blood can enter the pulmonary trunk and branch to the pulmonary arteries. This blood will go to capillaries in the lungs for oxygenation. The blood coming back from the lungs will enter the left side of the heart in the pulmonary veins. It will go into the left atrium, through the bicuspid valve, and into the left ventricle. When the left ventricle contracts, it will force the aortic semilunar valve open, forcing blood into the aorta. The aorta will branch into multiple arteries which will take blood to the capillaries of the body. In the capillaries of the tissues, the blood will exchange gases with the tissue cells and will pick up waste products and deliver nutrients. The capillaries will drain back into the veins of the body, which will come together to make the inferior and superior vena cava and return blood back to the right side of the heart.